The poet E. Cummings stood for the individual human being against regimentation and standardization of any sort. That's cute. I'm glad that poet stood against regimentation. I don't even know what that means exactly. Standardization to, like, I guess, categorize people and then make them do certain things. Well, who knows? Let's see. Yet in doing so, Cummings stood against something essential to the work he did. I'm guessing this is the conclusion. Any guess why? How come? What's the next word? Sense. Sense does what?
Premise.
Tells you about to read premise, right? So I'm like, okay. In doing so, he was standing against something essential to his work because why? Metaphor presupposes literal language, and literal language essentially involves regimentation. Okay. Wait. Hold up. Is this a good argument? Why not? What's your... Are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
I just hated it when I read it.
You hated it? Yeah, but we have basically two premises, right?
Right.
And the two premises are metaphor presupposes literal language, and literal language essentially involves regimentation. So if you have metaphor, then you're going to be doing regimentation, right? So what's wrong with this argument?
What if he doesn't use metaphors?
What if he doesn't use metaphors? Are you cool with that? Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, but it's just like it's missing something, and I didn't.
Oh, you didn't identify what it was.
And then I started predicting it. Yeah.
Oh, what did you predict?
I predicted either he uses metaphors, or the other thing I predicted is that something about literal language.
Literal language. Sure, yeah, that's true that he uses literal language, right? Because either one of those would help this argument a lot. One way to think about this is if you put your hands over the first 4 lines of this passage and just read, metaphor presupposes literal language, and literal language essentially involves regimentation, you wouldn't be like, oh, well, that means that Cummings... Like, we would just have no awareness of what they're saying about him or his work, right? I guess I'm making an assumption there. Is this a male or female poet? I have fears that this person is famous, but I don't know their poets.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, what did Cummings write?
Poems.
Well, thank you. Got it. Okay, well, cool. The argument's conclusion can be properly drawn if which one of the following is assumed. What type of question is this? Anyone? Sufficient? It's a sufficient question? Sufficient assumption, right?
Sure.
So what's the goal here? What are we looking for in the answers?
Strong.
Okay, yeah, the answer is likely to be strong, although that's not our primary goal. What is the primary goal? What is the correct answer going to do?
Fix the argument?
It's going to fix it, and by fix it, you mean...
Give us...
Wait, what?
Complete
Complete it. Yeah, it's going to make the conclusion true. So because that's our goal, the correct answer is likely to be strong, but I don't want to switch those around, because you can have sufficient assumption answers that are correct and very weak, as long as they prove the conclusion. So my prediction here would be, oh yeah, this guy used metaphor. Okay, not all poets use metaphor. Well, okay, well maybe some do, but what about Cummings? Metaphor was essential to E. Cummings' work. If it was, and then metaphor led to literal language, and literal language led to regimentation, then he would be standing against something essential, notice that's a key word, to his work. And they're saying, yeah, metaphor was essential to his work. So that's got to be the answer. C, there can be no literal language without metaphor. That's restating a premise almost. If you don't have metaphor, then... No, actually, that's saying something different. But it doesn't get us any closer to Cummings, right? And this idea that this was essential to... Were you tempted by this answer? Okay. D, poetry cannot be regimented or standardized, so that's not good. That weakens the conclusion. E. Cummings did not use literal language. That is not good either. That's like, okay, well, everything we just said in the premises doesn't apply, so that's going to disprove the conclusion. Or not disprove it, but it's going to weaken it. Are we cool with B? You feel better about B now? Yes? You picked B. Oh, what was your question then about number 2?
I did pick B.
Oh, you were asking about. Sorry.
No, she asked about it.
Oh, I just
because
said
we
number
were
2.
debating it. She was right, I was wrong.
Oh, okay. All right. Does it make sense now? You're
Yeah.
good. Okay, cool.